Markham-Love, you're here because you say your childhood was a complete nightmare. Wow. You claim your mother, Ms. Nasiri-Poor, lost you to foster care and left you torn between two fathers, including the defendant. Now, Mr. Tucker, you say a bomb was dropped on you when years ago you showed up to a court hearing to gain custody of Ms. Markham-Love. You claim that day her mother delivered the news to you that you may not be her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Markham-Love's other potential father, Mr. Gholston, questions paternity, and we'll hear the results of both of the DNA tests shortly. So, Ms. Markham-Love, please explain to the court, why was your childhood a nightmare?
I got put in foster care, had to live with complete strangers. I don't have respect for authority or anyone telling me what to do, or even Shireen. I don't have a close bond with her. I've been living from foster home to foster home. I found out at 12 that Myron here, Mr. Tucker, may not be my father.
Really?
Yes.
Now, how did you find that out?
Shireen had told my grandma.
Miss Nasiri-Poor.
Miss Nasiri-Poor told my grandmother, and it was related to me.
And so when you heard that, what did you think?
I felt hurt and betrayed and lost with emotion.
Did you ever meet the person they said was supposed to be your biological father?
Yes, Your Honor. I met him one time when I was 12. He took me and my sister out to ice cream. That was the only time I seen him. I barely talked to him on Facebook, but it's never been, no, oh, you're my daughter, nothing like that.
So now, Mr. Tucker, you obviously were under the impression that this was your biological daughter as well.
Yes. When I got a letter in the mail stating that my daughter was in foster care, and I went to Sacramento to go to court to try to get her, the Nasiri-Poor stood up and said that I might not be the father.
So you had no doubts in your mind?
That's not true.
Yes, it was.
No, it's not. Your Honor, that's not true. When I found out I was pregnant, I was 4 months pregnant, I told Myron it could be between him and another man. I never gave no names. He left me and went to LA, supposedly.
I did not go
when
to
actually
no.
He was with his girlfriend at the time that was pregnant as well.
No.
So,
I did tell him that it could be between two guys. I didn't tell Brittnee because she's a child. Then
right, but you're saying you were honest with him.
I was honest with him and Darnell Gholston. Yes, I was. I'm hurt, just like Brittnee's hurt. Brittnee's torn apart.
No, but
I did not want her to know none of this until she was able to understand it. My mom told her.
No, she should have known way before this.
Way before what?
Like when she was a baby. So
No,
she
you
would
don't
have to go
understand
through
that you're a child.
a baby.
Maybe you don't understand
No, I'm talking
two
about a
men.
baby.
His suggestion is there should have been a test done years ago so she would grow up knowing who her biological
Then pay for
father
it
was.
then. Pay for it. I'm paying child support still.
Paid for it. If I would have known, I would have paid for it then.
You knew when she was 12. You said it still isn't done.
Wait.
She's 22 years old now.
Wait, 12 years old, where was she at?
In foster care.
So I was more worried about getting her out.
Why didn't you
than
get her
keeping
then?
in
Why
there.
didn't you have the DNA done so you could have got her out of foster care?
So listen, there's a lot of
Why
arguing
did
back
you do the
and
things
forth.
for her to get in foster care?
If I was such a bad mom,
All right,
at that time, you should have done something about it.
listen. Let's calm down. Mr. Tucker, back then, when you say the test should have been taken, did you consider taking one? Why didn't you? I mean, that's kind of a good
Because
question.
I didn't find out.
Why not just say, I'd like to take a DNA test?
I didn't find out that I was in question until the court date.
So in your mind, you were the father. There was no reason to take a test.
Your
Exactly.
Honor, at
That's
7
the way
years
I still
old-
feel
So
right now.
once you
Oh my
heard this
gosh.
in court,
At 7 years old.
did you say, I'd like a test now?
No.
Exactly.
So at that point, why not? You just said.
Because I feel in my heart that she's mine.
All right. So I see this as making you emotional.
I don't pity
And
for
you
him.
feel hurt because you
He let his-
feel.
he let his wife-
Ma'am, if you don't be quiet and let me get a question out. Mr. Tucker, what is it exactly you're feeling? Frustration, or you're hurt for the girl you believe to be your daughter? What is this you're
I
feeling?
hurt for my daughter. I don't want her to be in this situation.
Ms. Markham-Love,
Yes, Your Honor.
do you understand that this man, whether or not he is your biological father, he hurts for you because he knows what you've been through?
Yes. We used to share the same last name, and then I was adopted at 14. He was on my original birth certificate as my father. I have a transcript saying that my last name used to be Tucker,
Jerome, let me see that, please.
and then I have a birth certificate showing that my last name has switched. I do not have the birth certificate when my last name was Tucker.
So this is your school transcript,
Yes.
and it's showing that your last name was Tucker.
Yes.
And it wasn't until you were adopted that it was changed to your adoptive parents' last name.
Exactly.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Was he involved in your life at all as a child?
Growing up, I was living in Bakersfield with him. And then when I turned 5, we moved to Sacramento, and he continued to reside in Bakersfield. When I got put in foster care at 7, he was granted visitations with me, and the last time I seen him was when I was 9. And from 9 to 16, I did not see him.
So, Ms. Nasiri, he states he was on the birth certificate. You agree with that?
Yes,
you
ma'am.
did
He
let
was
him.
there.
He was there
He was
when she
there.
was born.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
And so when Brittnee says that she lived with him at 5 years old, she resided with us. We had a place together.
okay.
But at the same time, I just had Brittnee, and she's a month old. His cousin comes over and asks where he's at. I said, I don't know, he's playing basketball. He went and got married at his reception. So that's when it all fell apart, and I still accepted
So wait,
it.
you all living together as a family.
Yes, we
Yeah.
were.
With a beautiful baby.
Yes, we were.
So, Mr. Tucker, you supposed to be out playing basketball? And where were you?
Wedding reception.
What?
There's a lot more to this story.
No,
than
no,
what
don't,
she's
don't start
telling.
talking soft now. You were where?
There's a whole lot more to this story than what she's saying.
So I just need to understand, because I feel like we could be here all night listening to what happened in this relationship. But it's true that you were living with them as a family, and then you disappeared, and that really meant you went and got married to someone else?
Yes.
How could you disappear like that and
Not
go
once,
marry
but
someone
twice.
else?
You trying to put this on me?
Not once, but
you
twice.
talking about you cheated on me with a pizza guy though.
You were in LA. You said you were living in LA.
She accepted it.
So
I was in love with him the whole time, and I'm still probably in love with him.
How you in love with? How you was in love with me and you cheated on me with a
How did I
pizza
cheat
guy?
on you? You weren't even there.
Let's just get it straight, Ms. Nasiri. So this pizza man is the other potential biological father. What happened? Now you got emotional.
Because it's like
what happened?
I did a lot of wrong in my life, and it's like whenever he left me, 4 months after we met, said he's going to LA. He didn't go to LA. He left me. So a month later, I slept with Darnell, Mr. Gholston. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm glad you clarified that.
it wasn't
because
like I cheated on him.
It wasn't like he rang the doorbell with the pizza
No,
and then you
ma'am,
slept
no,
with
ma'am,
him.
no.
So the bottom line is both of these men
And
you
asked-
slept with during the time of conception.
Yes, ma'am.
And you yourself honestly don't know which one is Miss Markham-Love's father.
No, I do not. And I was honest with Mr. Gholston as well. I told him from when I was like 5 months pregnant, he could be the possible father.
I see the pain in your eyes. You say and you admit that you've made some
I've
mistakes.
done a lot of mistakes, Your
but
Honor.
ultimately,
I made a lot of mistakes.
I can tell you love your daughter.
I do love my daughter, but you know what? I went to prison. I've done a lot of bad things in my life. I forgave myself. When I got out, I asked her for, when she's ready to forgive me. She said she did forgive me. Apparently not, because now I'm Shireen. I'm not mommy no more. I had to earn that. I'm sure I have to earn that. I'm trying my best. I do my best. But if I was on drugs and I was such a dope fiend, Myron, then you should have stepped up and took her if I was doing so bad. You should have let me take her.
So, Ms. Nasiri-Poor, I see, even when you're talking, you're looking me right in the eye, but you barely look at your daughter.
Because I know she's ashamed of me. She's ashamed of me, and I love her with all my heart. I love my daughter.
I can tell.
She's my
And
baby.
that's why you're here, because you're in court.
I'm here to
because
support
you
her,
want
'cause I
to
want her to
right
know.
your wrongs and you want to support your daughter.
Yes, ma'am. It's not for him. It's not for him. It's for her and my grandson. They deserve
Ms.
to know.
Markham-Love,
Yes, Your Honor.
have you forgiven her?
At one time I did, and you know, my mind gets racing and I start thinking about all the other stuff, and I have a son. My son's gonna be 3 next month, so I know you can be a parent and not be in the same household.
Right.
I am not with my son's father. I have a wonderful boyfriend who's been there helping raise my son. So I know you can be a parent outside of the household, and I feel that that was not there.
Ms. Markham-Love, as you look at these 2 pictures here, what do you see of yourself? It's like you're going back and forth between Mr. Gholston on the left and Mr. Tucker on the right. As a child, what did that feel like to you?
Mr. Tucker is who I know that has been there. I've grown relationship with his kids. I go out there for family reunions and everything else. Mr. Goldstein, I don't know. That was the only time I seen him.
Just that one time?
Just that one time.
In your entire life?
Whole life. And that was 10 years ago.
Mr. Tucker, why is it that you just disappeared?
I didn't disappear by choice. They had moved to Sacramento.
Well,
I didn't
there are
have no,
planes, buses,
but I didn't
cars.
have no. I didn't have no phone number, no contact information at all. Only way I got contact with them is when they sent me the letter stating my daughter was in foster care. That was it. And then when I was going to court to do parenting classes and stuff, I get a letter stating that my parental rights was forfeited.
Because you didn't want to do the classes.
And so,
You wasn't there. You don't know what I did. I was there every week to see my daughter. And if I couldn't make it, I called her.
and do you remember that time?
Yes, the last time I seen him, I was 9. And I got put in foster care at 7. So that was 3 years after I was put in foster care. But from 9 to 16, we had no contact.
You knew this man to be your father your whole life, and then you realized he may not be. You don't really have a relationship with Mr. Gholston. What do you hope for today?
I just want closure. So if Mr. Tucker is my father, I know his family. If Mr. Gholston is my father, I would want to know his family.
And how about you, Mr. Tucker? What are your hopes?
That she has closure. I'm just doing this for her so she'll know. Am I right that I feel like she's my daughter anyway?
Ms. Nasiripour, what are your hopes today, ma'am?
My hope today is for Brittnee to be happy and know who her father is. And like she said, she does know her brothers and sisters very well. I don't hate Mr. Tucker. I just wish that he would quit badgering me, because I know what my mistakes were. And I deal with them every day of my life. And to upset my daughter and have that, it's more like hate towards me she has. And I just want us to come together and be able to work it out, and maybe one day she could forgive me.
I understand. Jerome, may I have the results, please?
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am, you may.
The way Ms. Nasiripour feels, Mr. Tucker should feel the same way, because I do not treat them no
And
different.
I think because of this not knowing has put the distance.
You said
Well,
you loved
let's-
her. You said you loved her regardless.
I do, but not knowing as a man, it does hurt.
So why don't we put an end to the hurt?
Brittnee, I'm sorry. I really am sorry for keeping it from you.
Are we ready for the results?
Yes.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Markham-Love v. Tucker Gholston, as it pertains to the paternity of Miss Brittnee Markham-Love, it has been determined that Mr. Gholston is not her father. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. In the case of Markham-Love v. Tucker Gholston, as it pertains to 22-year-old Brittnee Markham-Love, Mr. Tucker, you are not her father. Miss Nasiripour, that's a shocker.
Yeah, it is.
Are you okay, Brittnee?
I'll be fine.
I owe you both an apology. Sorry.
How do you feel right now?
Hurt, sad, angry.
The one thing I can say is at least you know definitively who is not your father, and I hope sincerely that you're still happy you came here today.
Yes, I am.
Good. Good day, everyone. Ms. Myers, you say that 4 years ago you had a relationship with Mr. Black that resulted in the birth of your son, Logan. You claim that after initially accepting your son, Mr. Black turned his back on you and started denying your baby. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Black, you state you had only a 2-week fling with Ms. Myers while she was cheating on her boyfriend. You say Ms. Myers is a promiscuous opportunist and you will prove you are not her child's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Myers, why have you waited 3 years to bring this case to court?
Well, now Logan's old enough to ask questions. So when it's Logan's first day of school, he'll ask, where is Tyrell? Or he'll ask, why isn't he there?
Because he thinks Mr. Black is his biological father. That's what you've told him.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Black, you're not showing up for the first day of school, anything?
No, Your Honor. I have a lot of doubt on the reason why I'm not the father compared to what Jasmine had done with a lot of shady things that made me believe I am not the father. So
He
therefore,
doesn't show up for his birthday parties. He promised Logan that he would come to his third birthday party, and he did not show up. So Logan was very upset.
Now, take me back, because you admittedly, Mr. Black, you say you haven't done anything
No,
for
ma'am.
this child.
No, ma'am.
3 years.
Not only that, he's bought like probably 3 pair of shoes, and he's came to my family's house.
So you come to her family's house, but you just aren't really buying in that you're this child's biological father.
Correct, Your Honor.
How did you all meet?
We met on Facebook. We went to the same high school.
Oh, so you went to high school together, and then you reconnected on Facebook.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened? That turned into what? Dating?
It
A
turned
relationship?
into dating. We were talking for like
We were not
almost. We
dating.
were talking for almost like 3 months before Tyrell went back to his other child's mother,
We
and then
wasn't
he
dating.
accused me of
2
cheating
weeks.
and lying to him.
It was 2
not
week
2
fling.
weeks. It was more than 2 weeks.
It was a 2-week fling.
So you said it was 2 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
Was it 2
So who
weeks?
picks? No, ma'am. So who picks someone up from work? Who sleeps with the person? Who does
I never
homework
picked you
with
up
the
from work.
person? Who does different things with the person and expect that not to be a relationship?
It was just
So in your
casual.
mind, he was your boyfriend.
He was.
Casual sex. That's all it was.
It was not. That's a lie.
You think you in a relationship and got a boyfriend.
He asked me to have his child. That's the thing.
How you
But
act-
in
how
2
you
weeks?
ask that and you had a
It
boyfriend?
was more than 2 weeks. I was
You
not
had a
in a
boyfriend.
relationship with anyone else.
That was a side dude I found out later.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
How long was it?
It was more than 2 weeks. It was going on almost 4 months. Like, he came around my
weeks.
family. Like, when I would go places with Logan, Tyrell would show up and my family members would be
No.
there.
But Mr. Black, even though you may say it was just 2 weeks, you know it really just takes 2 seconds to make a baby.
I've learned that. I have learned that, Your Honor.
So take me to the day you found out Ms. Myers was pregnant. What happened?
She was about 8 months pregnant, and I got a courtesy call at work.
A courtesy call.
Yes. I got
That's
a
not
courtesy
true.
call.
That's not true.
It went exactly like this.
That's
I'm
not
just
true.
calling you to let you know I'm pregnant, but don't
That's
worry,
not
you're
true.
not the father. It's my boyfriend's baby.
That's not
I just
true.
want to let you know just in case you hear something in the street.
That's not true. I texted him and told him that I was sick. And he told me, well, maybe you should go to the doctor. So I ended up going to the doctor and finding out that I was actually pregnant. So I texted him and I was like, I'm actually pregnant. And at first, he would, ask, how did my doctor's appointment go? Or how was I feeling? And then he slowly just drifted away and disappeared.
You were with your boyfriend at the time.
That's a lie.
So wait a minute, Ms. Myers. Mr. Black just testified clearly. He did not even know you were pregnant until you were 8 months pregnant when you called with the courtesy call.
That's a lie. What it is, he doesn't want someone to know that he has 3 different kids by 3 different women.
That doesn't bother me. If that was the case, we could have been settled
He even
this.
texted me that
We
and
could have been
said he
settled
doesn't
this.
want the world to know he has another child by another woman.
Okay, so hold on. You said
didn't
you
want it.
told him right away.
Yes.
And after you told him, then he slowly started drifting away because he didn't want to be involved.
Not only that, he was back with his ex-girlfriend.
So you back with your ex,
Yes.
You get the courtesy call. Once you get the courtesy call, what are you thinking?
I'm like, okay, so if you're saying I'm not and it's your boyfriend, then why I'm getting this call?
That's not true.
I should be alarmed. Like, I'm a little
That's not
confused
true.
on why I'm getting this call.
Because it was a courtesy call.
Exactly. Like,
That's not true.
if I'm not the father, why are you calling me?
That's
Is it
not
because
true.
you're unsure? Are you making these other calls? I don't know.
That's not true. I've never had a doubt that he wasn't Logan's father.
Were you dating somebody else at the time you were dating Mr. Black?
No, ma'am. And I told him 3 months after I was pregnant. It was not 8 months later.
It was 8 months.
That's a lie.
Okay, so Jerome, somebody lying. All right, so Mr. Black, how did you find out Logan was born?
Same day she had it, Your Honor, I was actually at work on my lunch break, and I got a phone call saying, hey,
Another
I'm at the
courtesy call?
Yep. I'm at the hospital, I'm in labor, I'm about to have him, et cetera, et cetera.
That's
And
not
why do you
true.
think you getting that call if you not the dad?
That's not
And
true.
see, that's
He
why
was
I'm
not
confused,
at
Your Honor,
work.
because at the same time, I
He
got
was not
approval
at
to
work.
get off of work, go to the hospital
a
to see
lie.
him. When I got there, they told me I was not allowed to see it because she refused to have me
That's
come in
a
the room
lie.
because her
That's-
boyfriend at the
that's
time
a lie.
was there.
That's a lie.
He was there with her family, and she didn't want everybody to know she was cheating.
That's a lie.
Hold on. Wait. If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So you get another courtesy call, you're at work.
Yes.
You say the baby's being born.
Yes.
Now, even though this is not your baby, could not be your baby, you don't think it's your baby, you ain't never heard of this baby, you decide you're gonna get off work anyway because you got a courtesy call.
Yes.
And you gonna go on up to the hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why are you going?
I want to go to find out if I'm the father or not because I keep getting these courtesy calls, so apparently you must feel like I am the father, so let me come and see what's going on.
But when you got there, you couldn't get up.
Couldn't get up. They told me, she said, specifically, she did not want me to come in the room. She didn't want me to see the baby. No, none of that. At the time, her boyfriend was there with her family, and I guess she felt embarrassed if I would have showed up like, hey, this might be the father. And she didn't want to call him.
So when you got turned away downstairs at the hospital, what did you do?
I went back to work.
I went back to work, okay? I had to get my money. Well, that was smart. So you went on back to work, and at that moment, you said, you don't know why she's calling me because the guy up there must be the dad.
He even signed a birth certificate there, so that let me know he had to be the father.
That's not true. It was a reason for all
He
of
signed it
that.
at the hospital.
It was
right
a reason
there.
for all of that. I was in labor. I called Tyrell and I said, hey, I'm in labor. And apparently his girlfriend at the time, or whoever she was, he was not at work. She snatched the phone from him. She's like, oh, no, baby, Tyrell's not coming. And so Tyrell did not come while I was in labor. He came 3 days later, and I did tell the nurse, don't let him up because I've had this baby by myself. I went through this by myself, and I called him, and he didn't come because she told him not to come.
Hold on. So you're saying he didn't show up the day the baby was born?
He showed up 3 days
You
later.
say he showed up 3 days later, and by that time, you got all caught up in your feelings and decided, okay, he can't come up here then.
Yes, Your Honor.
But why did you let another man sign the birth certificate?
Because I was young, and it was wrong. I was young, and I was angry, and I was talking to him.
Were you dating, or
No.
could he potentially be the father too?
We were just dating. He could not potentially
They
be
ain't
the
got you
father.
dating before
I'm
we messing
100%
around.
that he's his dad. Like, I slept with nobody else. He looks just like him. He's lactose intolerant.
What
Logan's
that got to
He looks
What
just
that has
like
to do
him.
with it?
That's usually something that's hereditary.
So why?
Hold on, I'm still stuck at lactose intolerance. I don't think that's sufficient evidence, Ms. Myers. Ms. Myers, are you convinced Mr. Black is the father because he's lactose intolerant or because it's the only man you were really sleeping with at the
Because
time?
it was the only man I was sleeping with at the time.
No, you wasn't. No, you wasn't.
So you weren't having
That's a
sex
lie.
with anybody else?
No, ma'am.
How do you know she was with somebody else?
3 months after Logan was born, she asked me for a DNA test after she asked 2 or 3 other people.
That's a lie.
prior,
I did
before
not
me.
ask him
So
for-
it was
that's a
process
lie.
elimination.
That's a lie.
It was
I did
process elimination.
I did not ask him for a
It was
DNA
process
test.
elimination.
I did not ask
She was
him
going
to ask
down.
me for a DNA test. And I told him, sure, since you want to act like Logan's not yours, if I have to pay for a DNA test, I'm going to put you on child support. When I mentioned child support, he disappeared again and did
No,
not
I
ask
said,
anything
let's
else
do the
about a
test.
DNA test.
So you've never asked anybody
I
else
have
to take a
never.
paternity test?
Never.
Wow.
Never.
Okay.
And how do you know this to be true?
Her ex-boyfriend actually called me on the phone.
That's a lie.
And had a conversation with me and
That's
said,
a lie.
man, I'm actually happy I just dodged the bullet. He's not mine.
That's a lie.
I hope it works out for you.
See,
He actually told me that.
No, his
He
dad
actually
said that
Hold on,
mean,
Wait a minute, you got another courtesy call.
from her
That's a
ex-boyfriend.
lie. That's
One
a
of the
lie.
ex-boyfriends.
No one took a test.
Okay.
Well, I mean, look, we talking about courtesy calls, we talking about lactose intolerance, we're talking about a lot of things.
He's lying.
But we're not talking about Logan. And he's 3.
Yes.
You testified in the beginning of this case that your baby now is missing. He feels the absence of a father. I mean, that's a very special age, and he is just
Yes.
precious. Ms. Myers, as a mother, how do you feel when Logan says, "Where's daddy? Where's
It hurts
daddy?"
my feelings because he'll appear and he'll act like, he'll be active and then he'll just disappear. So Logan wants to know why he comes and then he goes.
So he knows who his daddy is.
He does.
And Mr. Black has made an appearance, a courtesy
He's
call.
he's made multiple appearances in Logan's life. He came to his first birthday party.
He did.
Yes.
Do you tell Logan, "Call me daddy"? Is he
No.
call?
No.
Does he say dad? Does
No.
he say daddy?
I just say, "What's up, little man? How's it going?" I honestly try to avoid that because I don't want to confuse them. I don't want to
You
confuse
don't.
them no
No,
more
well,
than
look,
what he already is.
I do respect that.
So how do you pop up into a child's life and you're just not sure? Why do you keep popping up?
Which is why I don't pop up. Which is why
you
I don't, because
continuously
I'm not.
pop
I'm
up.
not sure.
He seen him in January.
You confusing this January?
He seen him in January.
That's a lie.
He promised to come to. He promised.
That is a lie.
He promised to come to Logan's 3rd birthday party, and he did not show up. And so Logan asked where he was, and I was like, "Baby, he's just not coming again."
And so, how does that make you feel?
Because it's not fair to Logan that he gets treated that way. Even though me and him may not get along, it's not fair to Logan. At the end of the day, it's not about us. It's about Logan.
But you put him in a situation.
Let's be honest. I feel like both of you all are complicit in this. Both of you have failed to do what's necessary to truly protect this child. Because all this running around, and all this talking and laughing back and forth and courtesy calling, nobody has any courtesy for Logan. And so what have you felt like, Ms. Myers? I want to understand, because a part of me is I'm skeptical, because it's too matter of fact for you. Just the way you address him. And it doesn't make me feel like you really invested in this notion that he truly is Logan's biological father.
I reach out to him. I ask him, I invite him to parties. I tell him when something's wrong with Logan. When Logan needs something, I'll text him and he just doesn't respond.
But I need to understand whether you really are sure.
I'm absolutely positive. Like, I have no doubt that Logan's his child. Like, there's nothing that could make me feel like he's not. There's not even that little small piece in my mind that makes me feel like Logan's not his child, or that makes me unsure that Logan's not his child, because Logan is his child.
Finally, I feel like I'm looking at a mother.
I just feel like this is unnecessary. This shouldn't even be, because it should be about Logan, especially when he know that Logan's his child. And you're just abandoning him because you don't want the world to know that you have 3 different kids by 3 different people. And he's even sent me text messages that say that.
Have you ever just been very honest with the hurt you felt?
There's been multiple emotional messages to him telling him that Logan doesn't deserve this and that he should be in Logan's life knowing that he's his, and either he doesn't respond or he'll say something like off the wall, and I'll just stop texting him, because I don't have time to argue with him, because Logan needs my attention. I not only have 1 child, but I have 2. I have a daughter, and she has her dad, and it's not fair that, he treats Logan like he's his, but it's not fair to Logan that he doesn't have his actual dad and she does.
And then that's a comparison for Logan already at 3. He can see the difference.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I feel bad for him for that. And I'm hoping today we can get the answers that we need so this child can have the dad he deserves. Jerome, I'm ready for the results.
Me too.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Myers versus Black, when it comes to 3-year-old Logan, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Black, you are the father.
That's fine. Can I see him? That's fine. That's okay.
You are the father.
Thank you. I can handle my responsibility as a father. May I see my little boy?
No, I appreciate that you want to see him. What are you feeling?
Relief and a little sad at the same time that I had to deal with all the stuff and the shadiness I had to deal with her, and it took this long to find out that he's actually mine, and this could have been avoided, and he could have been a part of my life all this time, and it's kind of sad that he had to miss out on a lot of opportunities my other kids were getting.
I need you in this moment, before I adjourn this court, to stop being a victim. And I need you to own the part you played in that, because that's what a man would do, that's what a woman would do. And at the end of the day, I got an innocent child out here that at least we know now you are his biological father, but you've missed 3 years of very important dates and times and the love and affection. And I need you to take some accountability for that. I'm about sick of both of you all, a little bit too matter of fact for me. You're getting on my nerves. There was something about the exchange between the both of you all day. It was just two. It was like a little tennis match. He said this and she said that, and it's just arguing back and forth. But with no substance. And there's substance here. There's a baby here.